Good evening again. This is Inspirational Podcast number 9. And I will be ordering yet a third lapel microphone. We cannot seem to get one. You just have to make sure that you get an Apple product to match the phone. You can't have any substitute. And I thought we had the Apple one last time, and apparently not. So we use the mic that's on the phone, but with the volume and the speaking and everything is better when you have at least that type of mic. So this is number 9. Done 9 of these now. And I affectionately, as you know, refer to these as the fireside chats, and I was thinking today about what to express, and I had to ask myself a question: what does it actually take? What does it take to be inspirational? Now, I've voiced some of this before, but not quite in this manner. I believe that there are certain key ingredients, like you have when you're baking a cake. And they would be passion, conviction, honesty, integrity, courage, just to name a few. But I know that it's more than that. Today, the message of the pastor, where my son and I were attending church before COVID-19. And I still give to monies, I still give. Why? Because of the good works that the church does for the community. The church does a lot of good work for the community at large. Has a lot of great programs. But the message from the pastor, no offense intended, but it was not, what in my opinion, it was not inspirational. And I do believe that my son agreed, and I guess I would best describe him, again, my opinion, but I would describe him as a good teacher of the Word. Bible, but not an inspirational type speaker. Inspirational, just not so much. So thankfully he gave time to a young lady. She's paralyzed now from the waist down, secondary to a gymnastic injury. He gave her time, 3 minutes, to tell her story and express her convictions regarding the example she wishes to be now for others. She wishes to do this. She wants to be an inspirational speaker. She mentioned being a nurse. I think the pastor more or less told her he thought she should probably be a minister. But she was inspirational. And so there was one of the other key ingredients: the suffering of loss. And rather than the self-pity and the loathing, the rising above it. It lets people know that it's real. It's not fake. It's a method of self-service and a willingness to help others. And I know that she's going to have some difficult times, and I know there'll be times that she'll feel that maybe no one's really listening. And why? Well, because People are caught up in themselves and they don't take the time much to think about another. So I pray her loss of legs doesn't go unnoticed and others will use what she doesn't have to run a mile. I know the next time I run a mile on the treadmill, I'm going to run for her. But I also realize that she'll have difficulties, and why? Because of my own mental and psychological torment, not physical yet. But the torment that I've had regarding the suffering of loss that I've endured with family and those that I love so much. My mother's screams from the psych hospital, restrained to a room and bed, blaming me for it when she was good at the guilt. Because I put her in there trying to help her, but I listened to her and I got her out of there, only so that she might end her life. She did end her life of misery. And my wife, the mother of my children, left paralyzed from the waist down. I mean, it's in the book. Loss of all, function, and it just left me at the end to pray for her death rather than her life, so that she would be free of this. Free of a paralyzed body. My son had struggles. Cried out for his mother's name, but he's risen above it. He's fighting hard. It takes fires like these to make one count the cost. You got to feel the fire burning. I mean, it's this burning fire that helps you cry out from the soul, demands it. This is when the spirit of inspiration, this is when it comes. This is why the most afflicted of my patients are inspirational. Fellow employees that have suffered great loss, this is why they judge not. This is why they give and not take. Yeah, one of my most noticed podcasts was one in which I was wearing a house coat. I meant it only to encourage others to get comfortable while they would listen to the message. Just be comfortable. I mean, the house coat was not inspirational. I mean, I sense of joked with my fellow employees. Do I need to give the inspirational message half naked on a bicycle to get noticed? They laughed and said, yes, you get noticed then, probably go viral. But it's not that crowd that I'm reaching out for. It's not that crowd that would appreciate the message anyway. They wouldn't even listen to it. People like that care not about goodness or kindness or mercy, love, and life is not a gift to them. It's just a joke. It's all just a sad joke in a lost world. And they more than likely, unless they change, they will make a significant contribution to this world. I've had more than a few, a lot more than a few. They tell me how much the book has meant to them, how it changed their lives. Really? Because there is less less than 50 reviews on both books together on Amazon. So if it made so much of a difference, then why couldn't they rate or review it? Just can take a second. I mean, the podcast, same thing. Like, oh, Dr. Faulkner, Marvin, or Lynn, whatever the case may be. I mean, that was really inspirational. That really helped me. I mean, that made a big difference for me. It did? Oh, okay. Then I guess you subscribed. No. You didn't? No. Well, why not? I'm not sure I really know how to do that. Well, you knew how to listen to it. You get somebody to help you or something? I mean, you hit a button. It's called subscribe. I mean, so do you want to like share the message, or is it just for you only? I mean, how's the message supposed to grow? So I hear about this gentleman, Joe Rogan. I can't critique. I can't. There's nothing I can say because I haven't watched his podcast. I really don't know. I just know I've been told he's the #1 podcaster in the United States. So I mean, that's all I know. I don't know how he made it. I don't know what he did, what his secret was. But I mean, I'm gonna have to go check it out, I guess. I hope it's inspirational, and I hope it's not just controversial. But I can tell you who I have listened to or who I have seen. Howard Stern. I mean, how many millions is this man worth? I listened to his show a couple times, and I was like, no, you know what? I don't care to really listen to that. I mean, that's not inspirational. I mean, it's lewd, it's crude. I mean, it's not respectful, it's not reasonable. I mean, how's that supposed to help anybody? The boy has a huge audience, doesn't he? So in a world when hatred just pours out on the streets like volcanic lava, I mean, void from and of any truth and love. I mean, let's do what we always do with good things. Let's crucify it. Let's shoot it. Let's kill it off. Better yet, since we cannot love, let's have riots and chaos. And maybe, if we can do this well enough, we can rise to another civil war. Perfect. Just perfect. Democracy. A republic. I mean, what kind of madness is this? I mean, what kind of world do we live in? Hasn't history taught us anything? I mean, that's what it's for, isn't it? That's why it's recorded. History, so we would learn from it. So let's silence the tongues of those that could do something positive. God forbid we help that cause. Let's take away the voices of humility and love and honor. Let's not dare find those type of people to lead again. Like the great leaders of the past. No. Let's forget that. I mean, they led with power, passion, with conviction, and with love, and they did not waver, and they didn't speak ill of others. If they didn't have anything good to say, they didn't say anything. They spoke with their actions. They were passionate about their beliefs. and they tried to make a positive difference. And the world killed them off. Like the Martin Luther Kings, like the John Fitzgerald Kennedys, like the Abe Lincolns. Killed, shot, murdered. Because this world had no use for men like that. We don't need that kind of inspiration. Let's just make sure that those who could make a difference stay unknown, financially strained, so their voices can never be heard. No reviews for their efforts. Don't subscribe to that. Don't listen to that inspiration. Don't hit that button. Because we need to get back to what's important. Me, us, just nothing matters but just me, myself, and I. That's it. Me and the crap infected world in which we live. I'll listen to those that have nothing better to offer than burn it down, blow it up, tear it apart. Because I know this. More hatred will erase hatred. More darkness will certainly shed a light. Let's together let every drop of blood that was shed for our freedom be lost forever and have no meaning. Let's hijack that freedom until it's not freedom at all. Because we've replaced it with a jar of hatred. In fact, let's be so free that anything and everything goes. Let's riot. Let's destroy. After all, that's the answer, and that will increase our love for one another. That will drive out hypocrisy, bigotry, and racism. Well, I'm tired. And I have become weary. I'm sick of it. And sometimes I just don't feel like giving when it's not appreciated. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep giving. In fact, I'm going to try to give more. I'm going to try to love more. And I'm going to spit on hatred. I'm going to spit on it. But I am going to start asking more. The book did what? Really? The podcast did what? Really? You review that? You share that with someone else? You subscribe to that? I mean, was it only for you? Just you? It helped you? That's it? You're going to let it die at that? Because we don't need this kind of stuff. Nobody needs it. Just you. No one else. And if you're computer illiterate or phone illiterate, I mean, you know, I'm no better. I mean, I wouldn't even give myself a C. I grew up in just generations of all this stuff, so you know it's hard on me too. But I do the best I can, you know, and I try to learn what I can. I mean, you listened to it, you heard the message. I mean, it was so. I mean, if you bought the book, I mean, you managed to do that. So, can somebody help you to review it? Can somebody help you hit the subscribe button? I mean, I need to do what I do at work, try to help you with your medications and your stuff and this, and then your medical problems, and reach over, grab your phone, and subscribe for you. I mean, you care about others, the message shouldn't end with you. If it made a difference for you, then maybe you should think that it might make a difference for someone else. You're not the only one that counts, and neither am I. Others count. Other lives matter. So let me inspire you. Others have shared. Others took the time. Others did think about someone else. Others bought books, sent them to other people because they wanted their lives to be blessed, just like theirs had. And you know what? Others have talked about the podcast and the messages and how inspirational they were, and they listened and they saw, and they are not blind. And those that have done that, I thank you and I appreciate you. And you're separate from the others because you didn't just think about yourself. You thought about others. And I have too. How can I prove that? I wrote the book. I voiced the podcast. And I've cared for thousands of patients through the years. And my family. Many people that I have loved. I've made mistakes, and I've paid for my sins many times over. But I have ministered, and I have loved. And I've stood the test of time, and I've been knocked down, and I've had my faith lost. But in this place, possibly a place between heaven and hell, I have laughed at days gone by, and I have cried, and I have written my letter to God. As a nobody who will be somebody one day, if only in paradise, I took the time. I did these things. And yet not I, but God in Christ within me. And oh, how I've wanted to hate. How I hate what I see. But with the strength God gives me, I still choose to love. Why? Why, my brother, and why, my sister? Because it's the greatest commandment of all, and it is the only thing that ultimately matters. Subscribe or not, rate or not, share or not, I'll keep on shouting until God rings my bell, until I'm laid to rest, till this fighter's knocked down and out for the last time, until my God looks at me and says, come on over here, nobody. Come here and sit by me. Well done. You're somebody now. You can stand here with all these other somebodies. They knew what it was like to be a nobody too. Choose to love. Choose to be inspirational. For those of you who have suffered loss and you felt the fires burn, use it. like the young lady who will never use her legs again, who at one time was a gymnast. She's using it to reach others. Now, if this message and the others before it, the other 8, and the books and things I've tried to do, if they're meaningful to you, then ask yourself, would they be meaningful to someone else? Is this the type of thing that we need to hear more of? Or more of the other stuff of hatred? Burn it down, tear it up. Is that what we need? Now, if the answer is no, we need more of this. Marvin Faulkner, Dr. Faulkner, as the case may be, then subscribe. Make a difference with just the touch of a button. Good night and sleep well. And when I work out, I'm going to run that mile for her. And I'm going to hit the bag. I only wish I could hit it so hard to make it bleed, because I'm sick of what I see in this world. Thank you for listening.